Inner freedom and personal power. Take a gentle breath with me for a moment. Let's imagine something together. What would your life look like if you weren't controlled by anyone else's opinions? If you no longer feared rejection or judgment? What would it feel like to wake up each morning with an unshakable sense of peace, knowing that your happiness and calm are anchored deep within yourself, no matter what happens in the world around you? Yet, in reality, the world can feel overwhelming. There's always noise, opinions, expectations, the constant buzz of social media, and the pressure to fit in or keep up. Sometimes it seems like everyone wants to steer you in their direction, distracting you from your own true path. Maybe you've felt this before, like you're drifting away from what really matters to you, swept up by what everyone else thinks you should do or be. But what if you could press pause on all that noise? What if you had the power to gently turn down the volume of the outside world and tune back into your own inner voice? This is where the wisdom of Buddhism offers a gentle, transformative answer. Buddhist philosophy teaches us that true strength, true freedom, begins with turning inward. It's not about shutting the world out, but about reconnecting with yourself, listening to the quiet truth inside, beneath the surface of all the chaos. Imagine the calm that comes when you realize you can choose what thoughts to believe, which expectations to let go of, and where to place your energy. You don't have to be a prisoner of other people's judgments. You don't have to carry the weight of everyone else's expectations. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly listened to your own needs without letting outside voices drown them out? How would your life change if you no longer felt pulled in every direction, but moved forward with clarity and purpose from within? Throughout this video, we'll explore 10 essential Buddhist lessons, practical, time-tested insights that can help you reclaim your power, release the need for external approval, and cultivate a steady inner happiness that can't be shaken by circumstance. These aren't just abstract teachings. They're real tools you can use, starting today, to create a life anchored in self-awareness, calm, and purpose. Think of it as building a sanctuary inside yourself, a peaceful refuge where the world's noise can't reach you, a place where you're free to grow, to make choices that reflect your deepest values, and to live authentically no matter what's happening outside. So, as we begin this journey together, I invite you to pause and reflect. What is one area in your life where you wish you could feel more free? What's one outside opinion, fear, or pressure you're ready to let go of so you can step into a stronger, calmer version of yourself? You don't need to be a monk or spend years in meditation to access this kind of freedom. The path begins right where you are, in this moment, with a single conscious breath. Let's walk this path together, learning how to quiet the outside world, listen deeply to our own hearts, and unlock a power and peace that's always been within us. Are you ready to begin? Stop relying on others for happiness. Take a moment right now to pause and notice. Where does your happiness truly come from? Is it something you find within, or do you often look outside, waiting for someone's approval, a compliment, or a sign that you matter? Let's be honest. Most of us, at one time or another, have tried to build our happiness on the shifting ground of other people's words, reactions, or attention. We seek validation, a kind word, a like on social media, a nod of approval at work or from loved ones. And for a brief moment, it feels wonderful. But soon enough, that sense of joy begins to fade, and we find ourselves searching for the next hit of reassurance. But what happens when that praise doesn't come? Or worse, when we face criticism, silence, or even rejection? If our peace depends on others, life can become an endless cycle of hope and disappointment, like a boat tossed about by every changing wind. Buddhist wisdom offers a different way. It teaches us that real, lasting happiness isn't something we chase or win from the outside world. Instead, it's a quiet strength we build from within. As the Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Pause for a moment and reflect. When was the last time you felt genuinely content, even if no one else noticed or applauded? How often do you let the mood or opinion of someone else determine the quality of your own day? True freedom begins when you stop handing the keys to your happiness to other people. Of course, we all need connection, love, and community, but there's a world of difference between sharing happiness and depending on others for it. Here's a practical way to start. Try practicing gratitude, not just for the good things around you, but for your own inner qualities and efforts. Each day, take a moment to acknowledge something you're proud of, or a quiet act of kindness you offered, even if no one else saw it. Write it down in a journal. Let it remind you, your happiness is built on your own choices and your ability to find peace in the present. When you cultivate this self-reliance, you create a foundation of inner peace that no one can take away. Not a partner, not a boss, not a stranger online. You become like a tree with deep roots, able to stand tall even when the winds of circumstance blow hard. It isn't always easy. There will be days when old habits tug at you, when you long for approval or fear being overlooked. That's human. The practice is to notice it and then gently bring your attention back to yourself, your breath, your values, your unique journey. Let me share a personal story. There was a time in my life when I measured my worth by the recognition I received from others. I worked hard, did my best, but if someone didn't notice, I felt invisible. Over time, I learned that real satisfaction came not from applause, but from quietly knowing I did what was right, for me. That shift changed everything. I became less anxious, more resilient, and more generous with myself and others. So, let me ask you, how would your life feel if you could let go of the need for constant validation? What possibilities would open up if you trusted your own heart even when the world was silent? Remember, happiness is your birthright. No one else can give it to you, and no one can truly take it away. When you stop looking outward and begin tending to your own inner peace, you'll find a joy that is calm, steady, and unshakable. Let's walk this journey together, learning to build happiness from the inside out, one mindful breath, one grateful moment at a time. Lesson 2. Don't fear solitude, the power of stillness. Let's slow down together, just for a few moments. No matter where you are, maybe surrounded by the busy hum of daily life, or perhaps enjoying a rare moment of quiet, I invite you to truly pause. Let your shoulders drop, take a gentle breath in, and as you breathe out, see if you can soften just a little, giving yourself permission to simply be. Now, let me ask you, when was the last time you truly spent time with yourself? I don't mean just being alone physically, but really being with yourself, without distraction, without your phone, without the steady stream of notifications or the background chatter of other people's expectations. When was the last time you let yourself listen deeply to your own heart? If you're like most of us, perhaps it's been a while. In our modern world, solitude is often misunderstood. We're taught to believe that being alone is something to avoid, a sign that something's wrong, or even a kind of failure. From an early age, we're surrounded by noise, by people, by media, by endless demands on our attention. And somewhere along the way, many of us begin to fear solitude. We worry it means being left out, unloved, or incomplete. But if you look through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, you'll see a very different story. Solitude is not an emptiness to be feared, but a space to be cherished, a wellspring of strength, clarity, and deep transformation. In the stillness of being alone, something quietly miraculous happens. We are given the gift of meeting ourselves exactly as we are. Let's explore this together. Think of the moments in your life when you felt most at peace. Maybe you were sitting by a window on a rainy day, lost in thought, or walking slowly in nature with only the sound of birds and your footsteps for company. Maybe it was the quiet after a long day, when you finally sat down and noticed the gentle rhythm of your own breath. These moments are not empty. They are full of richness, presence, and quiet beauty. Stillness is where your true voice emerges. When you give yourself time away from the opinions, pressures, and needs of others, you create the space to notice what you really feel, what you truly need. In solitude, you can ask yourself the questions that matter. Am I living in a way that's true to myself? What brings me real joy, real peace? Sometimes the answers surprise us. Sometimes they bring clarity we've long been seeking. Buddhist teachings tell us that meditation is not an escape from life, but a homecoming. It's the art of simply returning again and again to your own mind, your own breath, your own experience, without judgment or expectation. In the beginning, sitting quietly can feel uncomfortable, even awkward. The mind races, the body fidgets, and all the feelings you've been avoiding may rise up to greet you. But as you learn to stay, just for a breath longer, you'll discover that you are stronger and gentler than you realized. Let me share a gentle practice. Set aside just 5 or 10 minutes a day for intentional solitude. No phone, no social media, no to-do list. Just sit comfortably, close your eyes if you wish, and let your attention rest on your breath. Notice what thoughts arise, what feelings move through you. Instead of judging them, try greeting each one as you would a dear old friend. Hello, worry. Hello, hope. Hello, longing. This simple act of noticing is the beginning of deep transformation. At first, solitude may feel unfamiliar, even a little lonely. But in time, it becomes a sanctuary, a place to recharge, to reflect, and to remember who you really are beneath all the roles and expectations. You learn that your own company can be nurturing, that you have everything you need within to weather life's storms. Solitude is where you meet your truest self, and in meeting yourself, you grow roots that no outside chaos can shake. And here's a gentle truth. When you become comfortable with being alone, you also become more present with others. You stop seeking constant validation because you know your own worth. You can listen more deeply, love more fully, and offer the gift of your calm presence to everyone you meet. So, rather than fearing solitude, embrace it as the sacred doorway to your inner life. Let each quiet moment be a meeting with your own wisdom and kindness. In stillness, you cultivate the strength and clarity to navigate the world, not as someone blown about by every wind, but as someone anchored, peaceful, and truly free. Remember, the greatest companionship you'll ever know begins with yourself. Cherish these moments of aloneness, not as empty, but as full of possibility. With every mindful breath, you grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate, one quiet moment at a time. Lesson 3. Stop seeking approval from others. Let's settle in for a gentle, honest conversation. Take a slow breath with me and let your shoulders soften just a bit. Now, ask yourself quietly, when was the last time you truly wanted someone else's approval? Maybe even needed it to feel good about yourself? It's such a human thing, isn't it? From the time we're little, we look for smiles, nods, gold stars, some sign that we're doing enough, that we're worthy, that we matter. We chase praise from teachers, friends, family, even strangers on the internet. There's nothing wrong with wanting connection or appreciation. But here's the catch. When our sense of worth depends on others, our peace becomes fragile, easily shaken by their opinions, moods, or even their absence. Buddhist wisdom invites us to gently turn our gaze inward. You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Take a moment and really let that sink in. Imagine living from a place where your own kindness to yourself is the foundation, where your sense of value is steady, no matter who sees you or what they think. Let's be honest, seeking approval can be exhausting. Have you ever felt that pressure to say the right thing, wear the right clothes, meet expectations, only to end up feeling even more unsure, like you're always a step behind? It's like trying to fill a cup with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much praise you collect, it never feels like enough. And the more you chase after it, the further away real contentment seems to drift. Here's a question worth pondering. Who gets to decide your worth? Is it the people scrolling by your photos? The coworkers in your next meeting? Even your family? Or could it be you? When you place the power of your value in the hands of others, you're handing over the keys to your own happiness. Let's flip the script. Imagine a life where your self-esteem isn't built on the shifting sands of public opinion, but on the solid ground of self-acceptance. What would that actually look like? For one, you'd find that criticism stings less, and compliments, while nice, don't define you. You'd begin to act more authentically, choosing what truly matters to you rather than trying to please everyone. You'd stop apologizing for simply being yourself. There's a gentle practice in Buddhist philosophy. When you notice yourself hungry for approval, pause and turn inward. Ask, what am I really seeking? What part of me needs kindness right now? Sometimes, the approval we chase is simply an old part of us, still longing to be seen and loved. Offer compassion to that part, as you would to a dear friend. The more you practice this, the more you become your own source of comfort and affirmation. Let me share a story. There's a well-known Buddhist tale of a monk who was once insulted by a villager. The monk simply smiled and did not respond with anger. When questioned, he said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" In the same way, praise or criticism only belong to you if you accept them. You have the power to choose what enters your heart. Here's an idea. What if, for one day, you gave yourself all the encouragement you usually wish for from others? Write yourself a note of kindness. Celebrate your small wins, even if nobody else sees them. Practice approving of yourself, especially in moments when you feel unseen or unappreciated. Notice how your sense of security starts to grow. Over time, you'll find that self-acceptance is not a selfish act. It's a source of deep strength. The less you seek approval from the outside, the more stable and resilient you become on the inside. Other people's opinions will rise and fall like waves, but your self-worth will be the calm, steady shore. So, as you move through life, remember, your value isn't up for a vote. The quiet, unwavering acceptance you offer yourself is the foundation for true happiness. When you become your own biggest supporter, the world's judgments lose their power over you. And that, in the end, is the deepest freedom.
Lesson 4. Don't let rejection break you. Let's pause for a moment and breathe together. If you've ever felt the sting of rejection, a job you didn't get, a relationship that ended, a dream that didn't go as planned, you're not alone. Every single one of us at some point has faced the ache of hearing no. Sometimes it feels like a door slamming shut or a cold wind that rattles your confidence and makes you question your worth. But what if we could see rejection not as an ending, but as a turning point? In Buddhist wisdom, every disappointment, every closed door is also an invitation, a gentle nudge to grow, to change direction, to let go of what isn't meant for us. Rejection is a natural part of life. It's not a judgment on your value as a person. It doesn't mean you failed or that you're not enough. In fact, sometimes rejection is simply life's way of guiding you to a better path, one you might not have chosen for yourself, but that leads to a deeper sense of peace, growth, and authenticity. Let me ask you, can you think of a time when something you wanted didn't work out, but in hindsight, it led you somewhere even better? Maybe a missed opportunity opened space for something more meaningful. Maybe a heartbreak became the catalyst for self-discovery. Buddhist teachings remind us that everything is impermanent. No feeling, circumstance, or disappointment lasts forever. What matters is how you respond to these moments. Instead of seeing rejection as a personal failure, try viewing it as a teacher. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Maybe you're being called to develop resilience, patience, or a new skill. Maybe it's the sign to let go of something you've outgrown, or to make room for something you never imagined. Imagine if you could move through life with a heart open to both acceptance and disappointment, trusting that each experience, even the painful ones, shapes your wisdom and compassion. In Buddhist practice, letting go is a powerful act, not a giving up, but a conscious release of attachment to what no longer serves you. There's a well-known teaching. In the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Think about that. Sometimes our greatest peace comes not from getting what we want, but from letting go with grace, trusting that the universe is making space for something new. When rejection comes, let yourself feel whatever arises: sadness, anger, confusion. Then, slowly practice releasing it. Breathe out the pain. Breathe in possibility. This is not always easy. It takes courage to trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by, and what isn't, no matter how hard you try, was never yours to keep. Here's a gentle practice you can try. The next time you feel rejected, write down what happened and how it made you feel. Then, reflect on what you might be gaining: a lesson, a new perspective, a second chance. Notice how, as you let go, your heart begins to feel lighter, more open, and ready for whatever comes next. Remember, every time you survive rejection, you become stronger. You develop the kind of quiet confidence that can't be shaken by the opinions or actions of others. Your peace is no longer at the mercy of outside forces, but anchored in your own wisdom and acceptance. So, the next time life says no, don't let it break you. Let it shape you. See it as a redirection, not a defeat. Trust that just as the lotus rises from the mud, you too can grow through the difficult, uncertain, and sometimes painful moments. In letting go, you make space for new beginnings, and that is where true freedom and inner peace begin.
Lesson 5. Don't fear what others think of you. Let's take a gentle breath together and settle into this moment. Ask yourself honestly, how often do you catch your mind wandering to what others might think? About your words, your actions, even the small decisions that make up your daily life. It's a deeply human experience. Most of us at some point have felt the pressure of other people's opinions. Maybe it's the anxious flutter in your chest before sharing your ideas at work, or the hesitation when choosing what to wear, wondering if you'll fit in. Maybe it's that voice that whispers, "Will they approve?" or "What if they judge me?" This anxiety can sneak into every corner of our lives, quietly shaping our choices and sometimes even silencing our truth. But what if I told you that the opinions of others, while loud, sometimes even overwhelming, actually say more about them than they do about you? Buddhist wisdom teaches us that each person's judgments are filtered through their own fears, experiences, and beliefs. The things people notice, praise, or criticize often reflect their own struggles, not your worth. Think of it this way. Imagine you're standing in front of a mirror, but instead of your reflection, you see the faces of everyone you know. If you try to adjust your life to please each one, you'll quickly realize it's impossible. Each person wants something different, sees you through their own lens, and their perspectives are constantly changing. If you keep chasing approval, you'll end up losing sight of your true self. Here's a gentle but transformative question. Whose voice are you truly listening to? The one outside or the quiet wisdom within? So much of our suffering comes from the belief that we must meet others' expectations to be worthy of love or respect. But the real peace begins when you let go of that need for approval and focus on your own actions and feelings, on living honestly, kindly, and in alignment with your values. Let's get practical. The next time you feel anxious about someone's opinion, pause. Ask yourself, is this about me or is it about their story, their day, their dreams and disappointments? Often, you'll find their criticism or praise shaped by things far beyond your control. Buddhist philosophy encourages us to look to our own acts, done and undone, rather than obsess over the acts of others. This doesn't mean ignoring helpful feedback or shutting out the world. It means remembering that your greatest responsibility is to yourself, to your integrity, your growth, your peace. When you act from a place of authenticity, the opinions of others lose their power to disturb your mind. I'll share a small story. Years ago, I worried constantly about what people thought of me, at work, among friends, even with strangers. Every choice felt like a performance for an invisible audience. But with time, practice, and the wisdom of mindfulness, I learned to turn inward. I discovered that my calm, my kindness, and my honest intentions were enough. The more I focused on living true to myself, the less I needed validation from others. And to my surprise, the more comfortable I became in my own skin, the more respect and genuine connection I found in my relationships. Here's a practice to try. At the end of each day, write down one moment when you caught yourself worrying about others' opinions. Then write what you thought or felt in that situation, independent of anyone else. Over time, you'll see a shift. Your inner voice will grow stronger, your confidence will deepen, and your anxiety will soften. Remember, no one knows your heart as well as you do. The opinions of others may be loud, but they are only background noise in the symphony of your life. The more you focus on your actions and your own truth, the more freedom and inner peace you'll find. So, as you move through the world, ask yourself not, what will they think, but, am I living in a way that honors who I am? Trust that when you stand in your own truth, you inspire others to do the same. Let today be the day you release the need to please everyone. Let your own values, your own peace, and your own sense of self be your compass. That is where true freedom begins.
Lesson 6. Don't sacrifice your peace to please others. Let's take a mindful pause together. In this moment, allow yourself to breathe deeply, letting go of whatever weight you might be carrying. The weight of expectations, obligations, and the invisible pressure to keep everyone around you happy. How often have you found yourself saying yes when your heart was quietly pleading for a no? Maybe it's at work, agreeing to one more project even when you're overwhelmed. Or with friends, putting their needs above your own again and again. Perhaps it's at home, always being the peacemaker, making sure everyone else is comfortable, even if it means ignoring your own needs. It's a cycle many of us know all too well. The world quietly teaches us that being good means being available, agreeable, and endlessly accommodating. We become experts at reading the room, sensing what others want, and molding ourselves to fit those expectations. But in the process, we risk losing touch with our own inner compass. Buddhist wisdom invites us to reflect on this deeply. Is it truly kindness if it costs you your peace? There's a saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving while ignoring your own boundaries, your energy will eventually run dry. You might even begin to feel resentful, exhausted, or quietly lost. Here's a gentle question for you. What do you sacrifice when you put everyone else first? Maybe it's your rest, your passions, your mental clarity, or even your sense of self-worth. When pleasing others becomes your main purpose, you become like a candle burning at both ends, shining brightly for a moment, but quickly fading away. There's a difference between compassion and people-pleasing. True compassion comes from a place of strength, a fullness that radiates outward. People-pleasing, on the other hand, is often rooted in fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, or fear of not being enough. The more we try to keep everyone happy, the further we drift from our own truth. So, how do we break free from this pattern without becoming selfish or cold? The answer lies in the art of setting boundaries, those invisible lines that protect your energy and well-being. Saying no isn't an act of unkindness, it's an act of self-respect. When you respect your own needs, you become more present and authentic in your relationships. Imagine your peace as a quiet garden. You wouldn't let anyone trample through your garden just to keep them happy, right? In the same way, it's okay to guard your inner peace. You can offer support, listen with compassion, and show kindness, but not at the expense of your well-being. Here's a practical exercise.
The next time someone asks something of you, pause before you respond. Ask yourself, do I truly want to do this, or am I afraid of disappointing someone? If your gut says no, trust that feeling. Practice small acts of courage, politely declining invitations, delegating tasks, or simply communicating your needs honestly. It's not always easy. At first, you might feel guilty or worry about letting others down. But with each boundary you set, you'll notice a subtle shift. You feel lighter, more balanced, more in touch with yourself. You'll find that your relationships become healthier too, built on respect and understanding, not silent resentment. Buddhist teachings remind us that our greatest gift to the world is our own peace. When you're calm and centered, you offer a steady presence to those around you. Your friends, family, and colleagues will begin to notice the difference. Your boundaries become an unspoken invitation for others to honor themselves as well. So ask yourself, where in your life are you sacrificing your peace for the comfort of others? What boundary could you set today that would protect your well-being? Remember, being true to yourself isn't selfish. It's the foundation of authentic, lasting kindness. As you move through your day, let this be your mantra. I honor my peace, I trust my needs, and I give from a place of fullness, not obligation. The more you practice, the more you'll realize you don't have to choose between kindness and self-care. True harmony comes when you embrace both. Let's breathe into that truth together and step forward one peaceful boundary at a time.
Lesson 7. Focus on what you can control. Let's pause together, just for a breath. In a world that seems to spin faster and faster, it's so easy to feel swept away by things outside our control. What others think, what they do, how circumstances unfold, or how the world changes overnight. But what if the path to true peace isn't about taming the chaos outside, but about finding your center within? If you've ever felt helpless, frustrated, or anxious because things didn't go your way, know that you're not alone. We've all experienced moments when life threw us a curveball. Maybe someone misunderstood your intentions, a plan fell apart at the last minute, or the world simply refused to bend to your will. In those moments, the mind naturally tries to grab for control, searching for something, anything, that can bring a sense of security. Buddhist philosophy offers a liberating truth. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can always choose how you respond. This insight is simple, but it's also powerful. It shifts your focus from the impossible task of managing the world to the empowering practice of managing yourself. So, what does it really mean to focus on what you can control? Imagine you're sailing a boat across a vast ocean. You can't control the wind, the waves, or the storms that may come. But you can adjust your sails. You can steer your rudder. You can decide how you meet each moment, whether with panic or with presence. Think about your daily life. How often do you worry about how others see you, or feel frustrated by things beyond your reach? How much energy do you spend replaying past mistakes, or fearing what might happen tomorrow? This is the mind's attempt to control the uncontrollable. But here's the turning point. What if you reclaimed all that energy and used it to master your own thoughts, your own actions, your own emotions? Try this gentle practice. Next time you face a challenge, pause and ask yourself, what part of this is truly in my hands? Maybe you can't change someone's opinion, but you can choose kindness. Maybe you can't predict every outcome, but you can prepare your mind to meet whatever comes with resilience. Maybe you can't avoid every setback, but you can choose to learn and grow from the experience. Managing your thoughts and emotions doesn't mean denying how you feel. In Buddhist teaching, mindfulness is the art of noticing your reactions without judgment, seeing anger, sadness, or fear as natural waves that pass through, rather than storms that define you. With practice, you can respond instead of react, moving from a place of calm awareness rather than stress or reactivity. Here's a personal story. There was a time in my life when I tried desperately to control the opinions of others. I worried endlessly about disappointing people, about what they might say behind my back, about mistakes I couldn't take back. It was exhausting, but the more I focused on others, the more powerless I felt. One day, I decided to shift my energy inward. Instead of trying to manage everyone else, I began to work on myself, practicing meditation, reflecting on my thoughts, and slowly learning to let go. The change didn't happen overnight, but with time, I felt a new strength growing within me. The world outside was still unpredictable, but I was no longer thrown by every wave. Buddhist wisdom teaches, rule your mind or it will rule you. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. It's about recognizing your true power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering your own mind. So, let me ask you, what's something in your life right now that you've been trying to control? Is it a person's opinion, an outcome at work, or a relationship that isn't going the way you hoped? What would happen if you shifted your focus from changing them to strengthening yourself?
Every day, we get a fresh chance to practice this lesson, to focus on our breath when anxiety rises, to bring kindness to our words, even when others are harsh, to let go of what we can't change and nurture what we can, our inner peace, our responses, our growth. The more you cultivate this skill, the more resilient you'll become. Life's storms may still come, but they won't shake you to your core. You'll find freedom in letting go and strength in standing firm within yourself. So as you go forward today, remember, you are the captain of your own ship. The world outside may be wild and unpredictable, but your power lies within. Adjust your sails, focus on your course, and trust that you have everything you need, right here, right now, to navigate the journey ahead. Let's carry that wisdom into our lives, one mindful breath at a time.
Lesson 8. Realize everyone is focused on their own life. Let's take a moment to breathe together and settle into this simple truth. So much of our anxiety comes from a fear of judgment, a worry that others are watching, evaluating, and critiquing every move we make. But what if I told you, with compassion and a little bit of humor, that most people are far too busy thinking about themselves to truly scrutinize your every step? It's a liberating realization, one echoed in Buddhist wisdom and confirmed by everyday experience. We move through life feeling like we're constantly under a spotlight, when in reality, almost everyone is navigating their own storm of thoughts, responsibilities, dreams, and struggles. The truth is, the world is not a stage where you're the main character in everyone else's play. Each person is the main character in their own story. Think about your own day. How much time do you actually spend thinking deeply about someone else's choices, actions, or mistakes? Maybe a fleeting thought here or there, but soon enough, your mind returns to your own challenges, your own hopes, your own life. Now multiply that by the billions of people on Earth, and you start to see you're not being watched or judged nearly as much as you might fear. This simple insight can transform how you live. So many of us hide our authentic selves, shrink our dreams, or suppress our quirks because we're worried about what people will think. We hold ourselves back, editing our lives to fit someone else's imaginary script. But what is the cost? We trade joy for anxiety, creativity for conformity, self-expression for self-doubt. Buddhist philosophy reminds us that the root of suffering is attachment, not just to things, to the opinions of others. The Buddha taught, your work is to discover your world and then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. This means living fully, honestly, and courageously, regardless of what others may or may not be thinking. Let's make this real. Imagine you want to try something new. Maybe wear a bold outfit, start a project you care about, or share a piece of your story online. The fear that everyone will notice or people will laugh can feel paralyzing. But pause and ask yourself, who exactly is watching? Most likely, the people around you are so absorbed in their own lives, their own fears, and their own dreams that your actions are a passing cloud, noticed for a moment, then gone. Here's a gentle challenge. The next time you catch yourself holding back out of fear of judgment, remember this truth. Picture the people you're worried about. Where are they right now? Probably lost in thought, rushing to their next meeting, or wondering if their own shirt looks right. Their focus is, naturally, on themselves. Of course, sometimes judgment does happen, but even then, it's rarely about you. People's reactions are shaped by their own experiences, insecurities, and worldviews. As Buddhist wisdom teaches, what others think of you is none of your business. It's a reflection of their journey, not your worth. This understanding brings a beautiful kind of freedom. When you stop living for the imaginary audience in your mind, you create space to live for yourself. You can make choices that align with your values, express yourself more authentically, and pursue what truly matters to you. Imagine the possibilities. How would your life change if you weren't afraid of being judged? What would you try, say, or create? How much more joyful, vibrant, and fulfilling would your days become if you allowed yourself to show up as you are, imperfect, unique, and fully alive? Let me share a personal story. There was a time when I hesitated to speak my truth or pursue my dreams, haunted by the thought of what others might say. But over the years, through mindfulness and self-reflection, I learned to see the world differently. I realized that the only person truly judging me, most of the time, was myself. The rest were too busy with their own lives to notice. The day I let go of that fear was the day I began to live more honestly, love more deeply, and create more freely. So here's my invitation. Release yourself from the invisible prison of imagined judgment. Take off the mask, step out from behind the curtain, and live your story. The people who matter, the ones who truly love and respect you, will celebrate your authenticity. And those who don't, they're on their own journey, just like you. Breathe deeply, and remember, the world is much less focused on you than you think. Let that realization lighten your heart and liberate your spirit. Live fully, love bravely, and walk your path with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are free to be yourself.
Lesson 9. Don't compare yourself to others. Let's slow down for a moment and breathe together. In today's world, it's almost impossible to escape the temptation to compare ourselves to others. We scroll through endless feeds of achievements, vacations, promotions, and picture-perfect moments. Each one a subtle invitation to ask ourselves, am I enough? But comparison, as gentle Buddhist wisdom reminds us, is the thief of joy. The moment we measure our worth against someone else's highlight reel, we rob ourselves of peace and gratitude. We forget our own journey, our unique path, and become blind to the progress we've already made. Have you ever caught yourself feeling restless after seeing someone else's success? Maybe you suddenly doubt your own achievements, wondering if you're falling behind, or start wishing your life looked more like theirs. This feeling is so common, yet so quietly corrosive. It can stir up envy, self-doubt, even resentment, clouding our vision and distracting us from what really matters. But here's the truth. Your life is not a competition. No one else can walk your path just as you cannot walk theirs. Each of us has a unique combination of experiences, talents, and dreams. When you compare yourself to others, you measure your story with a ruler that was never meant for you. Buddhist teachings offer a powerful antidote to this cycle: gratitude and presence. The Buddha taught, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. Instead of looking outward to see what others have, look inward and recognize the blessings already present in your life. Let's try a simple reflection. Think of one thing you've accomplished, no matter how small. Maybe it's getting out of bed on a tough day, finishing a project, or simply offering a kind word when it was needed most. These small victories are worth celebrating. Gratitude is the practice of noticing and appreciating what you have instead of yearning for what you lack. And remember, social media distorts reality. Behind every beautiful photo, there are struggles, doubts, and days of uncertainty. You see the polished surface, but not the messy, complicated journey beneath. The story you're writing, with all its ups and downs, is just as valuable, maybe even more so, because it's real. Buddhist philosophy encourages us to practice non-attachment, not just to material things, but also to the opinions and standards of the world around us. When you let go of the need to measure up to someone else's definition of success, you reclaim your freedom to define happiness on your own terms. Here's a thought to ponder. What would your life look like if you stopped comparing and started living fully right where you are? How would it feel to wake up with gratitude for your own journey, to honor your pace, and to trust that you are exactly where you need to be? Instead of competing, try connecting. Celebrate the successes of others without diminishing your own worth. The world is big enough for everyone to thrive. When you lift others up, you lift yourself as well. Let me share a personal perspective. There was a time when I constantly compared my progress to those around me. It left me anxious, restless, and never truly satisfied. It wasn't until I began to focus inward, to practice gratitude and acceptance, that I discovered peace. I learned to celebrate my small wins, and I found joy in watching others succeed too. So, the next time you catch yourself in the comparison trap, pause. Take a breath. Return your focus to your own journey. Write down 3 things you're grateful for right now. Remind yourself, you are enough, just as you are. Life is not a race. The only person you need to surpass is the version of yourself from yesterday. Be kind to yourself. Honor your growth. And remember, the true measure of your worth is not in what you achieve compared to others, but in how authentically you live, love, and grow each day. Comparison dims your light. Gratitude makes it shine brighter. Choose gratitude. Choose your own path, and walk it step mindfully.
Lesson 10. Prioritize inner growth over external validation. Let's take a moment to breathe and just check in with ourselves. No expectations, no need to impress, just you and your inner world. How often do we find ourselves chasing approval? Maybe it's applause at work, likes on social media, or that subtle nod from family or friends that tells us you're doing well. We all want to be seen, to be appreciated. But if we aren't careful, we can end up living for that external validation, measuring our worth by the reactions of others instead of the quiet, steady progress we're making within. Buddhist philosophy invites us to flip that script. Imagine a life where your sense of value isn't tossed around by other people's opinions, where you find true fulfillment not in what others think, but in how deeply you're growing as a person. Personal growth, true, lasting growth, begins inside. It's about who you are when nobody's watching, how you respond to challenges, the wisdom you gain from every struggle. You may not always get applause for your patience, your self-restraint, or the quiet kindness you show a stranger, but these are the seeds of real strength and resilience. Let me share a story. There was once a young artist who longed for her work to be recognized. Every time her paintings got praise, she felt proud. But when the compliments faded, so did her confidence. One day, an old teacher told her, "If you only paint for applause, your art will never truly be yours. Create because it brings you alive, because it helps you grow. The world's approval is fleeting, but what you learn and become on this journey will last forever." It was in those words that she found freedom. Her best work came when she stopped chasing validation and started nurturing her craft from within. Modern life trains us to look outward for validation, but the wisdom of the Buddha is this: what truly matters is the inner journey, the steady work of shaping your mind, softening your heart, and living by your values. This doesn't mean you ignore praise or feedback, but you don't let them define your self-worth.
Think of a tree growing deep roots. It weathers storms, stands tall through every season, because its strength comes from within, not from the fleeting approval of the wind, the sun, or the people who pass by. Ask yourself, what truly brings you peace and satisfaction? Is it the number of likes, the trophies, or the quiet feeling at the end of the day that you've been true to yourself? How do you measure growth? Not by what others say, but by the changes you see in your patience, your courage, your compassion. You might try this simple practice. At the end of each week, take a few moments to journal. Reflect not on what the world thought of you, but on the ways you grew. Did you stay calm in a tough moment? Did you act with kindness even when no one noticed? Did you let go of an old resentment or step outside your comfort zone? These are your real milestones. Remember, external validation can lift you up for a moment, but it's fleeting. The growth you nurture within, your mindset, your self-awareness, your inner peace, is what stays with you year after year. Buddhist philosophy teaches us about equanimity, a state of mental calm and balance no matter what praise or criticism comes your way. When you prioritize inner growth, you develop this strength. The world's noise grows softer. You become more resilient, more authentic, less dependent on applause to feel good about yourself. Ironically, the more you focus inward, the more naturally you inspire others. People are drawn to those who radiate peace, who live with sincerity and confidence. Your journey becomes a quiet example for those around you, not because you chased their approval, but because you walked your own path. So, I invite you to gently release the chase for validation. Turn inward. Grow for the sake of growing. Celebrate your progress, even when no one else sees it. Each step you take on this path is a quiet victory, a reminder that your true worth isn't up for debate. In the end, the only validation that lasts is the kind that comes from within. The Buddha said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." Let your thoughts be shaped by growth, not by the need to please. Let your happiness come from knowing you are becoming the person you truly wish to be. As you continue this journey, trust that your inner growth is the greatest achievement of all. Stand tall, nourish your roots, and remember, your value is not defined by others, but by the peace and purpose you build within. Freedom, peace, and ripple effects. Let's pause together for one final breath in this journey, just you and me, here in this quiet space, away from all the noise of the outside world. If there's one message I hope you'll carry with you from this entire experience, it's this. True happiness, lasting peace, and a sense of self-worth do not come from anyone or anything outside of you. They are born in the quiet depths of your own heart. The world will always have opinions, distractions, comparisons, and demands. It's so easy to get swept up, always reaching for the next approval, the next achievement, the next distraction. But when you look within, when you nurture your inner world with self-awareness, gratitude, and emotional balance, you discover a wellspring of strength that no one can ever take away. Remember, you are the source of your own freedom. No matter what others say or think, you have the power to choose how you feel, how you react, and how you shape your days. You do not need to chase after recognition, nor do you need to fear being overlooked or misunderstood. When you trust in your own values, when you let go of comparison, you find a peace that stands strong through every storm. Have you noticed, too, how your own mood can ripple out to those around you? Maybe there was a time you walked into a room and your calm helped others breathe a little easier. Or perhaps your simple act of kindness sparked hope in someone's day. This is the quiet influence you carry, not by force, but by the energy you cultivate within yourself. This is how you change the world, one mindful step at a time. Buddhist wisdom teaches that when you tend your own garden, you bring beauty to the whole landscape. When you find peace within, you become a light for others, even without trying. You don't have to be perfect or fearless or always strong. You simply have to be present and willing to return to your true self again and again, especially when life gets overwhelming. So I invite you, right now, to check in with yourself. Are you searching for validation outside, or are you gently turning inward? Are you comparing your journey to someone else's, or are you honoring the unique path your soul has chosen? Are you afraid to be alone, or can you find comfort in your own company? Remember, everything you seek is already within you. And as you learn to nurture your own happiness, your own peace, you send out ripples, touching your family, your friends, your community in ways you may never fully see. If this journey has brought you even a moment of insight or comfort, I invite you to pass that light forward. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel so we can grow this community of mindful, compassionate people together. Let's be gentle with ourselves and each other. Let's choose presence over perfection, kindness over comparison, and peace over pressure. Thank you for walking this path with me. Your presence matters. Your inner growth is a gift to this world. And remember, the door to freedom and peace is always open. Just turn inward and step through. If you found a sense of peace or insight here, consider joining our community by subscribing. And if you feel inspired, share your thoughts below or pass this video on to someone who could use a little light today.